All right, we're recording.
Yay! Well, welcome to the call, everybody. I'm so excited to have you here with us tonight. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Danielle George, and I'm a Wildtree director out of Overland Park, Kansas. A little bit about my story. I have been with Wildtree. It'll be 3 years in November, believe it or not. Time flies. And I had known about Wildtree prior to joining for a few years. Annie and I went to high school together, and I had seen her post about Wildtree, but I didn't really understand what it is. So you probably hear that sometimes where you run into someone, they're like, I know you're with Wildtree, but I don't really know what it is. That's where I was. She sold Alfredo. I was like, that's cool, whatever. I mean, I always cheer on other, working mamas that are having their own business, and I would see her like at leadership meetings. I'm like, that's awesome. She's totally rocking it. But I really didn't know what it was until I ran into her and she told me how much money she was making. And to be honest, that intrigued me. And so I actually enrolled before I ever tasted Wildtree. Some of you on the line here may be in the same boat. I have been working from home for my own business for a few years, but this really fit into a passion of mine, which is healthy eating and helping other moms. So that is my story. When I started, I had a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 4-month-old, and we had just recently moved into a brand new house. So life was chaotic. So you probably hear a lot, it's not the right time, or I'm just too busy, or whatever. I have a hard time with that because I'm like, okay, we're all busy, right? It's what we want out of life. So I could really coach on recruiting and team building, I feel like, for days. I feel like I could do a whole weekend seminar on it. So I was making notes because if you know me, Tegan, I have like really bad ADD when I get stuff in my head. So I'll ramble a lot, and my notes are probably rambling. So I hope that you'll bear with me and take what you can out of it. I also want to preface by saying that not everybody on here is in my organization or even direct to me. You may have a leader under me. We all have different philosophies about everything when it comes to what we do. So this is just my personal opinion on recruiting and team building and the importance of growing your business. You may have been taught something different by your direct leader, and that's great. My opinion, this is just my take on what has worked for me and what I have always applied to my business and life, really. So take what you want from it, leave the rest behind. I personally think that you learn from a lot of different people throughout life, and you just take pieces here and there. So all that being said, why am I passionate about team building? Well, I'll tell you, I started with another company before this one, and from my very first paycheck, I was a believer, because once you get a check for doing something that you don't feel like is, I didn't clock in, I didn't clock out, I shared a product that I loved at the time, and I got a check in the mail, and I was like, what? So from that day forward, I was a believer in this industry. So even outside of Wildtree, in this industry, and knowing that I could start having a life of my own and making my own income from home. And so I was a believer in, your belief starts somewhere, and really I don't believe there's ever a finish. It's always a work in progress. So that once I knew that, and I knew I could help others achieve the same thing that wanted to make more money, then that has been a passion of mine for many years. So my personal story, if you can't tell, I was diagnosed with breast cancer in December. And so what really has hit me this year is the power of residual income. I had to take a huge step back from my personal business because I had 2 major surgeries and 3 months of chemo, and I couldn't really do a lot of workshops and tastings and things like that. I was a little bit more restricted in my flexibility for running my business. But because of the effort that I had put in when I was able, I was still able to get a paycheck through that time. I was still able to coach and mentor and do the things that I love to do. And that was when it really hit me even more too, because I'm making a lot more money than that first paycheck that I received years and years ago. And I was like, wow, the power of residual income, you guys, there is just nothing else like it. If I would have been in a corporate job, I would have had to take 12 weeks unpaid from FMLA. And I needed more time off than that, so my job wouldn't have even been protected. Now, all that to say, if you love your job, that's great. Nobody is asking you to quit your job or to swap one for the other. If this is simply something fun for you or a plan B income, whatever it means to you is what it is. So why are we here? we have all stages of reps on here. I know I actually have someone, Barb here just joined, and we probably have, I know that Tegan's been here longer than me and Annie, so we have from well seasoned to brand new. So everybody's at a different stage, but I'm guessing everybody came because they do want to learn something new or they want to increase their income, because likely if you're wanting to learn about team building, that's a goal of yours. So setting the context, as I said, we're going to talk about the who, what, why, when, and where, because I was trying to figure out what kind of questions I get the most when it comes to team building. So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to go over some of my top tips, and then we'll open it for questions if that's all right with everyone. So one of my favorite mentors to follow is Jim Rohn. I don't know if anybody else has heard of him, but I'm really big on following people who fill my head with positive things, especially when you work for yourself. It's really easy to lose the motivation, the discipline that you need. And also it's really easy to take things personal or doubt yourself or have a lot of fear. And so Jim Rohn is one of my favorites to follow. And as he says, for things to change, you must change. So I just ask that you come with a fresh sheet of paper tonight. Be open to some ideas that may make you feel uncomfortable, because I know that the first thing our brain wants to do is reject things that make us feel uncomfortable. But I'm a firm believer that everything lies outside your comfort zone. That's where the beauty is. That's where the pot of gold is. So I'll start with why. Obviously, to increase your income. Our business model is that of recruitment and team building, whatever word that you prefer to use. Yes, you can absolutely have a stellar personal business. We have people in our company who do $8,000, $10,000, $11,000 a month in personal sales. What I will tell you is those are mostly team leaders. So make sure you mute your phones, guys. To become a team leader, you do have to have a team building component in there, because then you're getting up to 40% of those sales. So you can do the math there on what those reps are selling, and then 40% of that. It's a pretty amazing personal income. However, you get to a point, if your passion is, coaching and mentoring and leadership, if that's something that you want to do, you may have to strike a balance between, pouring into other people and not having as much of a personal business. Although Kathy McCool manages to somehow be superwoman and have, to do it all. So, the path to team leader does require recruitment and team building. And to be a team leader, that means more consistent income and always having a comma in your check. I will never forget Tegan saying that at taco night the night I enrolled. She's like, once you hit team leader, you'll have a comma in your check consistently. And that was like, okay, how do I get to team leader? For me, that really struck me as something I want to do. Why? More fun and fulfilling to work with people, other people that you like, care about, that you enjoy being around. It's a lot more fun to work with people that you click with, that you want to do great things in life with, travel with, have meetings with, whatever. And then momentum, motion brings on emotion. So you're more excited as everybody's recruiting and building, and, you're just seeing this overall momentum of what's going on in your business. It creates excitement. So that's why team building is so important to me. So the what of team building is obviously recruiting is bringing people into your business. There's a huge difference between being a enroller and being a sponsor. So we don't want to just sign people up. We want to sponsor them into this business opportunity. And by sponsoring them, like anything else, that's kind of taking them, locking arms with them, and showing them the possibilities of what this business means. So a lot of recruitment to me is team building. That's building a team. So that's setting a culture of recruitment for everybody in the team. So each one teach one. It's starting with that one person. One of my favorite sayings, is if you can lead one, you can lead many. But if you can't lead one, you can't lead any. So it's really finding those people who you want to lock arms with and getting that belief in yourself that you can do this and you can become a leader and you can bring people along with you who see the value in what you saw when you were introduced to Wildtree. And think about what that emotion was when you were introduced to Wildtree. What were your first thoughts and feelings? Were you excited? Were you nervous? Whatever that is for you. remember what that is, and that everybody's going to have a wide range of emotions when they're first introduced to the idea of this business opportunity. The when is now. Now is when you should be talking about the business opportunity. Tomorrow, yesterday. A lot of people say it's just not the right time, and that's okay. But I don't believe, just like with having kids, there is a quote unquote perfect time. Now, I guess I would say, in last January, if I was introduced to Wildtree and I wasn't already part of it, it might not have been the right time for me. So there are situations like that in life. However, every single day you can be looking for people who are looking for more out of life. And that is about more than, again, we're just talking about what this industry can provide. So that's about more than just they love their garlic galore. That's fantastic. But don't hone in on just the people who love the product, because then you'll eventually probably have a lot of people that love the product. I look for people who, and we'll get into the who in a minute, trigger words of people that are wanting more in life, just more of something. Again, we'll get to that in a minute. So create a vibe of not needing to be an expert. So again, going back to the when, I feel like when people get started, they want to know everything before they talk about the business opportunity. And I just think that creates that culture of other people feeling they will have to know all the answers. And so it's like, we are all learning. People ask me questions all the time, and I'm like, that's a great question. I'm going to have to get back to you. It's okay to not know everything. And so I think if you lead with your heart and your passion for why you came into Wildtree and what you've experienced so far, even if that's yesterday, and in your team page, you see something really cool that people are talking about, whatever it is that you're loving in this moment, feed off that emotion when you're talking about the Wildtree opportunity. So you don't have to be an expert to know this business. So always be talking about it. For me, my business is such a huge part of my heart. It's a huge part of who I am. I don't usually go into things half-ass, excuse my French, but so it's always in my mind, just like my husband and my kids are always in my mind. Or like if you're a teacher, I know we have some teachers on here, teaching is always part of you. That's what Wildtree was for me. And it doesn't have to be that for you, but because it is, it's just part of who I am. And so not that I necessarily am pitching the opportunity all the time, but I'm always planting seeds with different people in different ways. So again, it's consistency of looking for who you would love to add to your team. Anywhere. People are like dust. They're everywhere. So for what we do, an obvious place would be workshops or tastings, vendor events, things like that. But it's important to think outside the box. We live in a really social world, a really technology-driven world. So Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, I don't Snapchat, but some of you might, or whatever the case may be. Wherever you can build a relationship. I have people on my team I've never met in real life. So that is, part of building an online presence of consistency. So I'm not going to get into deep training about online consistency, but for me, that's always been huge because I had 3 small kids when I first got started. So I couldn't just go have coffee every day or go to a networking meeting or, I had to figure it out. I had to think outside the box. So a lot of it was being consistent on Facebook with not just the meals I was eating, of course, yes, but also what was this business opportunity providing me? I was able to take my kids to Branson last summer without worrying about putting it on a credit card. Those types of things. And again, if you're new, you may not have a story to tell yet, but maybe it's that you paid for your daughter's dance class or your son's soccer team or whatever. I mean, that is something. And so you talk about even those little wins until you have a better story to tell, and bigger and more impactful. Everyone starts somewhere. So thinking outside the box, where I was. So again, with Facebook, one of the things I want to say about that is make sure that you're interacting with people, building relationships, not spamming. They're like, I'm in mommy groups or whatever, and I really care about building relationships with people. I think it's imperative that this be a focus for anybody who wants to team build, because people want to do business with people they know, like, and trust. And so if you don't know someone, for me, I will tell you right now, I'm not the best at recruiting at a workshop. I know that we have reps that they're enrolling right there on their laptop at workshops. For me, I walk away, I actually want to know them better. Are they someone I want to bring on my team? To be honest, that's the beauty of this business, is we can be particular about who we work with. And we'll get into the who in a minute, but I want to build a relationship with them so they see the true value and don't just jump on because, oh, it's only $49.95 or whatever. So that goes for the same online, is interacting with people, not just about your business, asking them how they are, or, paying attention to the pictures that they post or whatever. Show that you authentically care about people, and they'll be attracted to that vibe from you. So, and then outside of that, you can look into local networking groups that you have, like BNI is very popular, but there's a lot of smaller ones too. And either they're free ones or they're ones you can visit for free and at least start to make connections that way. So if you are someone with a flexible schedule, that's definitely an option for you. Or you can look at meetup.com. A lot of times you can find like a health and wellness group or a fitness group or something like that would fit in with people who would be looking for healthy alternatives. So for me, I position it as an additional stream of income. So if you have people who are health coaches, like that's what I went to school for, is to be a health coach at the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. So people that are health coaches, personal trainers, things like that, most of those people are working really hard and not getting paid what they're worth. So positioning it as an additional stream of income for them that is in alignment with their brand. So if they are a personal trainer or a small gym owner or whatever, this is going to align well with them. And like for a personal trainer or someone who even sells Beachbody or something, their clients' results depend so much more than what they're doing in the gym. So 80% food and nutrition, 20% physical activity. So it is giving them leverage with built-in solutions because we have the meal planning done. This is stuff I did before I got involved with Wildtree. I wrote meal plans. I took people grocery shopping tours. I did pantry swap outs, but I charged for that and I had no product to leverage. And so that's just something to keep in mind, because then you're talking to, this will lead us right into the who of who you want to be talking to about this business opportunity, is those type of people that are in the health and wellness field, again, are typically not getting paid what they're worth, especially if they're in their first few years of business. And they're usually open to something that is going to be quality product they don't have to defend, because as we know, universally, we're being more educated on ingredients. And thank goodness Wildtree was so ahead of the curve on that. We were USDA certified organic before that was really a thing. Certified gluten-free. I mean, the things that Wildtree does in terms of the quality of their product and the quality of how it's produced is above and beyond. So you already have the quality products. They don't have to question that. You have the built-in solutions. So we're focused on solutions. And so you're looking for people who can fit that into their life, into their brand. Number one is who I would be looking for. So anyone that's in the health and wellness arena or passionate about health. Next, I would be looking for people who have a really big network. They're really well networked, that, realtors, mortgage bankers, these type of people, that's like all they do. That's all they do is network. They have tons of connections, typically, especially the successful ones. So it's about building a relationship with them, because most people, they're like, what's in it for me? People with the biggest networks are the busiest people. So what's in it for me? And that's not to be rude. That's human nature. So if you're going to be talking business with them, they want to know what's in it for them. So again, we always preach to lead with the business opportunity. Preach is probably about train to lead with the business opportunity, because it is the best thing Wildtree has to offer. People can make commissions off of helping other people, commissions off their own groceries, an additional stream of income for a really low investment. I mean, you're talking people who have bought buildings to have their own gym. $49.95 shouldn't be an issue if you build the value of what this business opportunity presents. So for me personally, this may be where a lot of people, the rubber hits the road in differences in terms of recruitment. I want you to write this down as part of the positive affirmations for those who were at conference, that I am a rock star recruiter who brings A+ people into my business. I look for A+ people. I look for people who are self-motivated, who want more out of life, who are hardworking. Is this business hard? No, but it takes time. It does take effort if you want to be successful. It takes consistency. So I look for people like that. For me, like the numbers of how many people I recruit isn't important to me. I could recruit 50 people this month, but if they aren't going to do anything, then it's a waste of my time and their time. They have to have something inside them that wants to share the product, at the very least. So that is my personal belief on it. Everyone is different. For me, I'm all about pouring into other people and what their goals are. And that'll be part of my top tips, but, it's all in how you position it. If you position it as it's $50, what do you have to lose, versus it's $50, what do you have to gain? That mindset is going to bring in a different type of person. For me personally, I believe is, talking about the vision of what it means to have an additional income, especially in this economy that we're still recovering from. So, if people are, how much time does it take? And, that type of thing, that's something to really consider, whether they would just be a really wonderful host for you, an ambassador for your business, someone who would send you referrals, someone who would bring connections into your life, because their connections within their connections may be someone who really needs this business opportunity, but you may be cutting off those connections for someone, who would really be a better host than they would part of the business. All that to say, we can't prejudge. It's not our right to decide who this business opportunity is for. So we can offer it and have that discussion about what that looks like. But those are just some things that I think about, when I'm talking about the opportunity. Getting to their why. Why would they be interested in this? Why? I mean, what would an extra $500 a month mean to them? And then quiet, silence. Here's the hardest part, is learning to shut up. Learning to shut up is difficult, because that empty space of quiet is where you start to get uncomfortable. So then you're like, it's just, like you could just have people over sometimes, and then you just start talking and talking and talking and talking. And pretty soon you're talking people out of something that they may not be interested in. And so just really, what would an extra $500 a month mean to you? What would you do with an extra $500? How would you spend that on yourself? Because especially a lot of our target market is busy moms. That's no secret. So, how would you spend $500 a month on yourself? What would that look like? And so it's painting that vision. Our story is important. A lot of people love to hear stories, but it's also them creating their own story of what this opportunity could be for them. So ultimately, it's also comes down to, it's not just about the product. So there are a lot more people that are interested in making additional income than there are people interested in eating organic food. That is just the reality. There are more people struggling to pay their mortgage. That the concept of, I need to go all organic, they don't even realize, and this is totally off topic, but I looked today and I didn't realize that one of our quote unquote competitors had our pricing is the exact same. But anyway, there's just more people that are concerned with paying their bills and getting out of debt and paying for their kids' college. So you have to look at it as a vehicle for them to be able to do that, wrapped into a compensation plan that is provided for them. So it's not, getting outside of just talking about the product. The product is amazing. You don't have to defend the product. The solutions are fantastic. You can start this business for $49.95 and be part of $1 billion industry. $1 billion industry. That is just mind blowing. For a McDonald's franchise, it costs $100,000 to own, and you're selling junk to people. But anyway, it's, such a low start, low risk, high reward opportunity. Caveat to that, as you know, September 1, we do go to 129, but that's going to take some adjusting for me to talk about. So, that is something to think about when you hear people talking about, I'm struggling to pay my bills, or I really need to buy a new car, but I can't afford it. A really good way to say something is, if I had something to share with you that I think might help your situation, would you be open to hearing more? Then you're inviting people to have that conversation, instead of just saying, oh, let me tell you, I started with Wildtree, and, this is what I'm doing. And I had a workshop and it was great. And then I had a tasting. See what I'm doing there? It's inviting people. It's listening to what they're saying. It's being genuine and caring about them, and saying, if I had something to share with you that I thought might help your situation, would you be open to hearing more? And knowing that the worst thing that someone's going to say is no. And I know that, I had a conversation with someone the other day, and they said, I hate rejection. I can't take it. I get that. And that is all mindset stuff that you have to work on. But I always relate it to, the waitress at the restaurant when you go out to dinner and they ask if you want coffee after dinner. If I say no, she's not going to cry in the corner. Like, it's okay. You can't emotionally attach yourself to the outcome of that answer. If you do, then you're never going to get started or get to the place that you want to be. The other thing is just a circle of influence. Again, people who are positive and energetic, and that people are drawn to them, and that you see their energy and you're like, I love being around that person. Why would you not offer them this business opportunity? Because you love being around them. Why not love, and you obviously see their impact they have on other people already. So, they would have a great start to this business. Warm market versus cold market. I get asked about this a lot too. Our warm market would be, who we know already, that our first circle of contacts. That's our warm market. Our cold market would be when you're getting beyond that. So Sally books a workshop and has 10 people and you don't know any of them. That's your cold market. I would say it's a lukewarm market, because they know Sally. Sally brought them into your life. So someone has warmed up that relationship, but technically they're cold because you don't know them. Super cold would be like Tegan meeting someone in Target and talking to them about Wildtree. So not everybody's comfortable doing that. But the warm market is where you practice. The cold market is where your business really grows. I have some of my best friends who have never bought garlic grapeseed oil from me. They don't know what they're missing, but that's one of the things that we tell people when they first come in, is those people that you have in your mind that you're like, oh, I know for sure they'll support my business. That's probably the people who won't. I don't know the science behind that, but that's just the reality of it. My business really grew from my cold market or my lukewarm market acquaintances and things like that. So starting out with your list of 100 is important. If you do not have a list written out of the people that you want to talk to, then you're just willy-nillying it and without a plan. So if you have been in the business a while and you haven't made that, or if you're brand new, or even if you're a veteran and you feel like you're stuck, get back to that list. I still have my list. I still work from that list. And I add to that list all the time. So that list of contacts and keeping that updated is important. So that is the who, what, when, where, and why in a very brief version. So I'm going to give you some of my top tips. In my opinion, what's in here is so much more important than what comes out of here. And for those that are on a call, what's in between your brain is so much more important than what comes out of your mouth. So much of this business is about mindset and belief and confidence and strength and all of that. So fear can mean forget everything and run, or face everything and rise. That's really a choice. So it comes down to living in choice of what you want to do with this business. And again, as a leader, I am not emotionally connected to what people want to do. If they want to grow a huge organization, great. How can I support you in doing that? If they want to be super part-time and just entertain their friends and family, great. How can I support you in that? But you have to have an idea of what you want to accomplish with it. So mindset, confidence, and belief If you don't have belief, then borrow it from someone else. Borrow it from Sonara. I hear people talk about her story all the time, or find someone. For me, it was Kelly Olin. It was hearing Kelly Olin speak, because when Kelly Olin started this business, she had 3 little boys about my little girls' ages. And so I could really relate to her. She and I felt like had similar things in common. So finding someone who is in this business that you can relate to and borrow from their story. I couldn't tell a story about how I run this business with 6 kids at home homeschooling, because that's not my story to tell. So, that would be borrowing someone else's story and talking about how they were able to run this successful business, homeschooling 6 kids. So, let's see. Why does this business matter? What does it mean to you? What can it mean for them? Again, we talked about that. And then really that's, why this industry is, it gives you flexibility, time flexibility, to be able to work for yourself. Why Wildtree? So this is where you have to hone in on the why Wildtree piece, because there are hundreds of companies out there. And to be honest, there's a lot of really fantastic companies. So why Wildtree? Everyone eats. This is a daily dilemma that literally everybody in the United States has every single day. 75% of Americans have no idea what they're eating for dinner at 5 o'clock in the evening. And so the majority of people are going through the McDonald's drive-through, or some of them are more health conscious and they're, ordering Blue Apron at $9, $10 a serving. You are solving a problem. And that is where your income comes from, is solving a daily problem. It has a low startup fee to be part of a $1 billion industry, as we talked about. The quality of products and the compensation plan is generous. It's a variety of ways to work your business. So again, we have workshops, we have tastings, we have Facebook parties, we have vendor events. Vendor events, food is great at a vendor event. So this is a really good fit for that. There's just a variety of ways of how this can fit in. I know Tegan did a event at her school this week when the kids were enrolling. Food fits in everywhere because everyone eats. So that is, those are some of the reasons that Wildtree stands out among other companies. Some of the things we already talked about, so I won't rehash that. Remember that most people want something more out of life. It's just finding out what that more is. Is it more time? Is it more money? Is it more experiences, more travel with their family? Is it more education? It's finding out what that more is, because once you figure out what that more is that they want, then you can speak into what this can do for them. Personal development. Again, this goes back to what is between your ears is the most important thing. Rehearse who it is that you want to be. And become a person that people want to be around. High energy, positive, match energy for energy with people. So if they aren't high energy, then maybe that's not the right time to be high energy. Not everyone's attracted to that. But raise your vibration. I know that sounds so totally hippie, but what you put out into the universe is what you're going to get back. So that's not to say we can't be open about our bad days. I've had a heck of a lot of them over the last 8 months, and I've been pretty vulnerable and open about that. But overall, I am a glass half full type of person. And I know that a lot of successful leaders in our company and in the world are the same. They're always looking for the positive. They're always looking to move forward, to help people. Just think about the people that you love being around, that make you feel so good. And think about how you can be like that if you're not already. Like if you feel like you're negative a lot or whatever, a lot of that is really personal development. I'm big into reading to help develop that skill and change that mindset shift. So clean up your social media. This is one that is not talked about a lot, but one that I'm, again, because I'm a big believer in growing your business on social media, as the majority of people do, clean up in terms of what you're posting about. Again, if every post is negative or controversial or is going to bring about feelings of people not wanting to follow you or be part of your tribe, then I would really think about that. Bring them into your life in terms of sharing with them what's going on, so people feel like they get to know you. And then be consistent. If you're going to grow your business online, be consistent with it. I can't tell you how many times that I see, a friend from college, and she's like, I started this XYZ company. And I'm like, awesome. I'm so excited to see what she does with it. And literally I never see her post about it again. And a lot of times it's because, oh, I posted one time and I didn't get any likes or whatever. And so, oh, people don't want to hear about my business. Well, speaking into Facebook directly, the algorithms that are set up now is the likelihood is the majority of people didn't even see it. So it does take figuring out the right times of day and all of that. And I'm not saying to, invest a ton of time in that, but I think if you want part of your business to grow online, it's something that you have to be patient with and find what's working. What should you change now in order to get what you desire? So if you desire to be a team leader, or if you desire to make $10,000 a month, whatever that goal is for you, what do you need to change now to be able to get to that goal? So is that time management? This is not a strength of mine either, I'll tell you, being home with 3 small kids. Is it getting out of your comfort zone and, practicing in the mirror, different things that you're going to say? It takes practice to perfect anything. So what is it you can change now to get you to your end goal? Time blocking, making sure you're doing your 10 calls a day, making sure you're doing your follow-ups, doing better host coaching, all the things that we've learned in this Grow series, bringing those things together. Where is it that you feel like you need the most improvement to be able to get to the next level? Be a student and a sponge. I can't, reiterate this enough. It can be done because people have done it. So when I hear people say, oh, I can't do that, I can't do that, I can't do that. I'm like, well, it can be done because people have done it. So it can be done. It's whether people choose to do it or not is really what it boils down to. So learning from people, finding people that have what you want and do what they do. So if you admire your leader or you admire someone else in the company, it's finding out what they do, what are their daily habits, and doing those things even when you don't want to. So be a student and a sponge, be always willing to learn, get plugged in like the people that are on this call. Paint a picture and a vision, but with realistic expectations. I think sometimes people are set up to fail when you're not honest about the fact that it does take time to learn. It takes a lot of time to learn. Like I said, what we do at Wildtree is not hard, but it does take effort. It doesn't just happen with the snap of the fingers. Anything in life worth having takes work. There is no get rich quick scheme unless you're, playing the lottery, which I don't do. So I guess I'm going to have to work at it. But, paint the picture and the vision of what this can provide, but with realistic expectations. The most important skill to master is focus. Again, this is somewhere I struggle that I'm really working on. But for me, I feel like that's the most important skill is focus. Where your energy flows is where you grow. So for instance, if right now you're brand new, what I tell people is try to go book 8 parties. Focus on that. That's your focus. So then you're focusing on that. What happens is if you book that many parties, then you're in front of that many more people, which is going to increase the opportunities to talk about more bookings, more customers, more potential reps. So it is focusing on what that task at hand is and then blocking out time to focus on that. So whatever you're doing, wherever your energy is, that's where you grow. So my first year in business, my goal was really to hit trips. So I was like, okay, what metrics do I need? Okay, I need to BQ this many people and I need this much in sales. Then my second year, I was like, okay, now I want to take the people I have and figure out who wants to be a leader. And I really wanted to focus on leadership development. And that's what happened in my second year of business was we promoted out a lot of leaders. And then this year life derailed, but that happens. So that just goes to show life happens. And I was able to work my business in the pockets of time that I felt good and I felt available. So make your funnel big and wide. When someone says, well, I made 3 phone calls today and nobody was interested or nobody answered, I'm like, okay. It has to be, your list has to be big because it's all a numbers game. And I don't know many people that ask 10 people to host a workshop and get 10 workshops. That's just not reality. If you do, please call me after this because I want to give you a big high five. Your funnel has to be really big at the top. So who goes in your funnel? Everybody, right? Where do you see yourself fitting in with Wildtree as you're telling them? As a customer who wants to eat healthier for your family and improve your health? As a host who wants to earn free groceries and have a fun girls' night with, wine and snacks? Or are you actually the type of person who sees the potential in the business opportunity and wants to make an additional income? Those are your 3 options. Just assuming that people want to do business with you, having that confidence. So that's it. You're in one of those 3 categories unless they tell you no, right? In terms of closing the deal, this is another thing that I hear a lot. Even myself, I have people that are on the fence, and they're on the fence for a long time in terms of the business opportunity. Number 1, the fortune is in the follow-up. Not nagging them, but staying in front of them, making sure that they know that you're there for them when they're ready. But utilize a 3-way call. And I'll say this, not volunteering other leaders, but I'm sure they would be happy to help you. And that's something I have done with my team before, is if they have someone who's just not sure, and then I'm like, okay, are they open to a phone call with me? And not saying that necessarily I'm going to close the deal or get them enrolled, but sometimes it's hard to be an expert to your friends, or they just need a third-party validation. So then it's learning to edify that person. If I were to get Annie on the call, I would say, Annie is a fantastic leader. She's been with Wildtree for 7 years. She's hit the top ranks of the company. She has a huge organization. And, I would love for you to talk to nobody better than her, because she can tell you about her journey of starting this because her kids had food allergies. And now that she's grown this massive business and has been able to change so many lives for her and her own families, the trajectory of their future as well. See how that sounds? And it's like, oh my gosh, I want to talk to Annie. So whatever that looks like with your leader, if that's something that you guys get together and decide you want to do, I think the 3-way call can be really powerful. Track your numbers. So tracking your numbers. How many conversations a day are you having? How many new contacts are you making? And how are you doing that? From going to a coffee shop and introducing yourself to someone, if you're that type of person, or making a new contact online, or asking someone for a referral and getting a new contact that way. How many the number of follow-ups that you're doing. So again, we get into the 10 calls a day, but for me, sometimes it's like I can do 50, and then I can't do any for the next 2 days, just depending on our schedule. So it's tracking those numbers and looking at that flow. Let your actions outrun your fears. So again, everything that's holding you back is fear-based. For me as well, is fear-based for something. We're afraid of something. So let your action, if you get so busy doing the activity, you don't have time to be scared. Fortune favors the bold. So be bold, be confident, and also lies in the follow-up, as I said. One of my favorite sayings too is, don't let your past failures dictate your future success. So I don't know if you've heard someone at a workshop say, oh, well, I tried Mary Kay and I just wasn't good at it. And so this isn't for me. I hear that a lot. And for me personally, I just want to say, maybe you didn't find the right thing, but you want to be really sensitive to their feelings. Again, authentically care about what they're saying, because people want to be heard. But if they have any slight interest in the business opportunity, you could say, well, do you think there was something about that business or that model or that company or whatever that wasn't a fit for you, that maybe Wildtree could be a different experience? Would you be willing to explore what that would look like if you tried something that was completely different than what you did before? So it's just in how you position it with people. And excuses, we all have them, right? I do. I'm a master of excuses, but really they're well-planned lies that lie in fear-based for me. I mean, it's like, do I want to really leave a voicemail for another person who hasn't called me back? There are many stories in this company, of someone who was followed up with time and time and time again. And it was, the second year. I knew about Annie doing Wildtree for 4 years before I joined. Same with Tegan. So again, it would have been really easy for Annie to just have quit, when she was told no over and over and over again. But thank goodness she didn't. So focus on others. Prosperity is about building people up. If you help enough people get what they want in life, you'll always get paid back way more than you ask for. So focusing on others. Of course, our goals are important. We have to have our own goals, but we don't want to project our goals onto our prospects. We don't want people to, it comes off as desperate. If we're like, oh, I'm going, there are times where like, oh, I'm going to run a free shipping because I'm trying to hit leader numbers, or I'm trying to do this or whatever. I'm trying to, it's double trip points this month. Of course that goal is important, but it's so much more important in terms of building a relationship to make sure you're focusing on others. What are their goals? What do they want out of this opportunity? And if you help them get what they want, you will always get paid back tenfold. Let's see. What you fill your head with and surround yourself with. So I said so a lot tonight. Sorry. I'm trying to stay on track. Sometimes I hear, oh, my friends aren't interested in this, or my friends are broke, or things like that. I'm a big believer in what you fill your head with, and the people you surround yourself with are a big reflection of who you are. So just think about that, and like who you want to be around, who you want to be like, who makes you feel good, those types of things, but also the things that you read and the things that you watch. Making sure that you're always doing something for self-development, in my opinion, is super important. And when talking to someone about Wildtree, ask where they see themselves fitting in. We talked about that, as a customer or host, or as someone who can see the possibility of extra income with this opportunity, always assuming that they are going to do business with you. Assume the sale. Do something every day to move your business forward. Something. If you have a super busy day plan, wake up 10 minutes before your alarm and shoot off 3 emails. Then you're feeling like you've done something every day to move your business forward. Again, this goes back to working your plan. Planning to, as we said in the 30-day challenge, just like with your health or anything else, failing to plan is planning to fail. So a plan without activity is really an incomplete waste of time and energy. You can't wish for it. You really have to work for it. So that is the majority of what I have. I know I talk really fast, and obviously I wanted to be respectful of your time, but at the end of the day, it's why not you? Sometimes when I'm telling my story and they're like, oh yeah, but you're a director, everyone starts somewhere. Or they say, oh, you were with another company before. No one from my prior company, not one single person, one person came over, but it wasn't even my organization. So you can't assume that about people. Everyone starts somewhere. So you really have to say, why not you? Why not you? You can absolutely accomplish anything that you set your mind to. And so it's just really a matter of choosing if that's what you want to do. So a lot of information in a short amount of time. I'm going to look over here at questions. Let's see. A weekend seminar. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine how all over the board my head would be? Be so busy doing the daily activity that you don't have time to be scared. Yes. Yes. Let your fear, or let your activity let your actions outrun your fear. These are the types of mantras, you guys. They may sound cheesy, but they are the types of things that if I had a rough day in my business and I'm like, we all have stuff happen. A party cancels and you're like, what am I doing this for? And I throw something at the wall. I turn to my cheesy mantras to remind myself of who I am, who I be, what I want out of life, why I do this. And ultimately, that passion is what I share with other people and invite them to come into my life and into my business. So we will open it up for questions now. Thank you for listening to all of that. I hope somebody has questions. Anyone? I love that, Stacy. Do it scared. That is absolutely right. I just said that to myself in the car yesterday. I was like, just do it scared. That can apply to a lot of things in life, by the way.
I just want to say something real quick that kind of gets me through some of this stuff. You contact people, and it's like you don't want to drive them crazy, and you're like, I don't want to be that person. Well, you're reaching out. You might reach out to 15 people, but those 15 people don't know that you're reaching out to 14 others. they think that you're just talking to them that day. Like you just came up to their thought. And that I was having a hard time getting past that. It's like, man, there's another no, or they're going to think I'm driving them crazy. But that's the first time I've talked to them and we're just chatting, in a couple of days, or maybe they had mentioned it to me a week ago and I'm following up with them. Yeah, I might be following up with 15 others, but they don't know that. And so I have a hard time getting past that. And so I'm always like, okay, no one else knows. It's just me. No one else knows. It's in my head.
Well, and that you brought up a great point is when it's situations like that, you have a choice to either have a breakthrough or a breakdown. And that's what you did. You had a breakthrough about that, about, oh, wow, this, because sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, I have a delivery to make this person. I'm like obsessed because it's been 3 days and I haven't done it yet. And I'm like, they're probably not worried about their delivery as much as I am, but it's such a part of us, like I said. And so again, like you said, if we have 100 people on our list and we're talking to people, they don't realize, but I think you also hit the nail on the head is they also don't realize. So make them feel special. I think it's building people up. We live in a society, especially as women, where women feel less than worthy, in my opinion, especially moms. There's so much mom comparing out there. There's so much women comparing out there. And we need to be people who build each other up because, and that's what makes people, it's being attracted to be involved with something like that and people of that caliber and with that integrity is what it is. It's so much more than taco seasoning. It's about that community. So, okay. Any other questions here? Let's see. Did I get this correct? I'm a rock star recruiter. I attract A+ people onto my team. Yes. That's right. Shannon, every dud knows a stud. That's right. I love that. Anyone else? Questions? No? Seriously? Everybody's ready to go out and recruit someone tomorrow? Do you know why you want to recruit? That's what you need to write down before you go to bed tonight. Why do you want to build a team? Because if you don't know that, that's the most important thing, is to know why you want to build a team. And with that comes responsibility, I might add. When you bring people in, it comes with responsibility of bringing them into our community. Oh, love you too, Stacy. Thank you. I know I talk fast, guys. I'm like so embarrassed. I'm like, they're probably like, what in the world did she just say?
No, it was great.
All right, I'm going to give it one more minute. Anyone? If you don't want to speak up, what you're allowed to do, you can take yourself off mute or you can type it in. I love that. If everybody can read over what Shannon said. She wants to be available unapologetically for her babies and her husband. She has found her why. I love that. Something as simple as that sentence that you can write down and carry with you. Honestly, I have little sayings that if I come across them, I write them down and they're in my wallet. I know, I'm cheesy.
I know, you're like the queen of sayings.
I know, it doesn't resonate with everybody, guys. That's why I was saying it may or may not work for you, but these are the things that work for me.
I do daily affirmations every morning and send them out to a group of my friends to hold me accountable, so then I do them every day.
I love that.
That's awesome.
What a way to lift other people up. And you know what? Business aside, that means you're the type of person that other people want to be around. You make them feel good. And ultimately, isn't that our most important mission in life?
And most of them are all people that I met for the first time at conference.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, guys. Anyone else? Any specific questions? Any situations that you're in currently where you have somebody you've talked to for a long time and you're just not able to get them on board or anything like that you want to hash out? We have Annie, who's another director. We have Tegan on the phone. I think Kathy's on here too. If you guys have anything to add, I'm sure, y'all are rock star business builders. So
I have someone who just recently became a customer, and she messaged me the other day and asked me how much it cost, and just kept asking me questions about it. But she's like, I don't really want to sell. I want to do it more for my family. So I think that was a couple of days ago. So I haven't heard back from her yet, and I haven't really followed up yet. But what do you say to push it just a little bit further and get her to jump on board?
There's probably a variety of answers to that, but I think we hear that a lot. That I want to do it for my own family. I see Tegan nodding her head. I don't really know about the business side, but I want to do it for my own family. There's nothing wrong with that. Personally, I think that would be a really fantastic host, because they can earn their product for free versus discounted.
Yeah.
Doesn't free sound better than 20% off? So that's really the majority of what it boils down to. And it's okay if because sometimes I think when I talk to people, they're like, oh my gosh, I don't want to do what you do. Like, I don't want to manage a team of people. And there's a lot of in between. You don't have to do what I do, but I can tell you that if you start doing this, you may want to do what I do. So, but again, I don't love that phrase. You'll never know unless you try. But I think it's really digging in and having a meaningful conversation with her. First of all, getting her on the phone would be the number one thing I would recommend, because I think it's hard to have a conversation via text or email or messaging. I think when you sit on the phone and have a conversation is the best thing to do. And finding out, what does that mean to her, doing it for her family. Again, I go back to, I think hosting is the best option for her if she has no desire to, but then really getting into a bigger vision of that. Well, could you see yourself offering workshops to some of your friends if you were able to make commission off of helping other people with meal planning solutions, or even backing that up? Do you know a circle of people who need meal planning solutions? Can you think of 10 people off the top of your head who would love help with simplifying dinner time? Okay. Can you see where you would be able to carve out some time every month to help those families, and in turn you would be able to increase your income? Annie, Tegan, you guys have anything to add?
I just think from a standpoint of where we are with our $350 every 4-month minimum, I think we're in a really unique position to be building our teams with people who want to do at least that minimum, rather than them join, spend the money on the kit, hit their one-time $350, and then immediately fall off. Like Danielle's been saying this whole night, one of these main points is to really get to know the people in your funnel so you can best help them choose which funnel will best serve them, essentially. So being a hostess is a free product, but if they're wanting to jump in and see what Wildtree can hold for them on an income capacity, that $350 really helps us leverage our opportunity and get people to hit that minimum and show them what that looks like. It's 4 workshop kits every 4 months. So I think that's really special and unique, and it actually helps us weed out the people who will be better hostesses.
The only other thing I'd add is just, like Danielle was saying, asking those questions, just get really curious with her. Are you willing to do a launch and have friends over? Like Danielle was saying, can you think of 10 people? And then from that, one question I like to ask is, what if 5 of your friends wanted to do parties? Are you willing to, be the rep for those parties? And if she says yes, then that kind of clues you in that maybe she does want to be a rep, but something's holding her back. She has a fear about something. And then you can dig into that a little bit deeper too.
Erica, again, along with all of that, I would definitely say if she has questions about the business, or if she's curious about the business, would be offering that 3-way call with Kendra. She'd be a great person to talk to.
Okay.
Anyone else? Any specific circumstances? No? Okay, well, if anybody has any questions that you think of after we get off the call, it was a lot of information to process. I so appreciate your time tonight. I know all the other directors and leaders do as well. Feel free to post in the Grow series. We're here to help all of you accomplish your goals, and we're going into our super busy season. So now it's time to reap whatever you've sowed for the year. And it's all about, again, planting seeds over and over again. So thank you all for joining. If you have any questions after this, again, feel free to post it in that page, and one of us will get back with you. So I hope you all have a great night.
Thanks, Danielle.
Bye.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye.